Imagine standing on a rocky cliff overlooking the vast ocean, the sun dipping low on the horizon. Waves crash rhythmically, and suddenly, a massive shape breaches the surface. A humpback whale, its song echoing across the water like a haunting melody from the deep. Dolphins leap nearby, slicing through the foam with playful precision, while seals bark from distant shores. This symphony of life has pulsed for millions of years, a vital heartbeat of the sea. But what if, one fateful dawn, it all falls silent? No more breaches, no clicks or calls piercing the blue expanse. Scientists wake to empty sonar screens, beaches devoid of basking pinnipeds. The world holds its breath, wondering, where did they go? Could this vanishing herald something far more sinister lurking beneath? Marine mammals aren't just charismatic giants. They form the ocean's unseen architects, engineering balance across sunlit shallows and abyssal voids. Whales dive miles deep for krill, then surface to exhale nutrient-rich plumes that spark phytoplankton blooms, fueling the base of the food web. Sea otters crack urchins with stones, protecting kelp forests that cradle countless species and sequester carbon. Dolphins hunt in synchronized packs, culling squid hordes that might otherwise overrun fisheries. Seals shuttle prey from depths to coasts, their waste fertilizing coastal ecosystems. Without these engineers, would the ocean's layers stagnate, trapping gases below? Picture the surface waters turning milky with unchecked algae, beautiful at first, then suffocating. Have you ever wondered how much of the sea's rhythm depends on these warm-blooded wanderers? Days turn to weeks, and the silence deepens into an unnatural hush that chills even seasoned sailors. Fishermen report squid schools ballooning unchecked, their tentacles writhing in massive, ink-black clouds that blot out the sun. Jellyfish armadas drift aimlessly, stinging everything in pulsing veils, turning once vibrant reefs into gelatinous nightmares. Plankton cycles falter without whale pumps recycling iron and nitrogen, starving the microbes that oxygenate the waves. Dead zones creep outward from river mouths, hypoxic bubbles rising like ghostly warnings. Birds circle empty horizons, their cries unanswered by upwelling feasts. What shadows stir in this disrupted web, hungry for the void left behind? The ocean whispers of imbalance, a prelude to chaos. Beneath the waves, the first cracks appear in the food chain's fragile lattice, subtle at first, then alarmingly swift. Mid-level predators like tuna grow sluggish, their prey exploding then crashing in boom-bust cycles without dolphin oversight. Sharks prowl wider ranges, but even they seem disoriented, bumping into ghost nets abandoned by fleeing fleets. Kelp forests wither as urchin barges devour holdfasts, releasing stored carbon in bubbling plumes that acidify local waters. Eelgrass meadows, once nurseries for fish, erode into barren sands, echoing with the absence of otter pups. Sensors detect falling oxygen levels, a slow suffocation spreading like an unseen plague. Is this mere adjustment, or the birth pangs of something monstrous? The deep currents carry faint, unfamiliar tremors, as if the abyss senses opportunity. Expeditions launch in haste, submersibles probing the twilight zone where light fades to eternal dusk. Corpses of surface dwellers rain down uncommonly fast, a macabre snowfall nourishing opportunistic scavengers. Yet tube worms around hydrothermal vents yellow and retract, starved of the steady flux mammals once stirred. Viperfish shoals cluster unnaturally tight, their lights pulsing in eerie Morse code. Something new glimmers in ROV feeds. Translucent forms, elongated and frilled, gliding through detritus clouds with predatory grace. Are these ancient holdouts, awakened by the silence? Bioluminescent bacteria bloom in hypoxic pockets, casting ghostly glows that fool sensors into phantom readings. The crew exchanges uneasy glances. The deep feels watchful now. Whispers spread through research stations. The ocean's pulse has changed, irregular and foreboding. Without whales mixing thermoclines, stratification locks nutrients below, spawning microbial mats that release hydrogen sulfide in faint, rotten whiffs at the surface. Sonar pings return distorted echoes, hinting at vast, amorphous shapes migrating in unison. Macroplankton aggregates form living rafts, ferrying invasive species across basins unchecked. Coral skeletons bleach faster, their symbiotic algae fleeing warmer, unbalanced waters. Divers report schools of fish behaving erratically, darting as if pursued by invisible foes. Could evolution accelerate in this vacuum, birthing horrors from humble origins? The sea's vastness suddenly feels intimate, pressing in with secrets. Nights aboard research vessels grow tense, decks humming with urgent data streams and heated debates. Models predict cascading extinctions rippling up from krill to apex predators, but anomalies defy logic. Unexplained nutrient spikes in dead zones, bioluminescent fronts marching poleward. Polar ice cracks wider without seal pressure, calving bergs that drift like tombstones. Tropical mangroves suffocate under algal smother, their roots clawing at poisoned mud. Whale falls cease entirely, denying deep-sea oases their decade-long feasts, forcing scavengers into desperate, cannibalistic swarms. Instruments capture low-frequency rumbles, not seismic, but rhythmic, like a colossal breath held too long. What intelligence simmers in this reconfiguration? Humanity peers into the mirror of loss, glimpsing our own fragility. As months unfold, the true horror crystallizes. The ocean remakes itself without mercy or nostalgia. Empty niches fill with jellyfish titans, their blooms visible from space like living storms. Cephalopods evolve boulder hunts, camouflage flickering across midnight blues. Crustacean hordes scuttle surfaceward, pinching at buoys with unnatural coordination. Faint chemical signals hint at novel symbioses, bacteria hijacking host nervous systems in parasitic harmony. The air above carries a briny tang laced with decay, seabirds plummeting from exhaustion. Yet amid the dread, awe stirs. What resilient wonders emerge from apocalypse? Will this new sea sing a stranger song, one we dare not comprehend? The vanishing was just the overture. The abyss now claims its solo. Picture the ocean as a grand, intricate machine, humming with life where every gear turns in perfect harmony. Marine mammals stand at the heart of this mechanism, not as mere passengers, but as master engineers shaping the sea's every layer. Whales plunge from sun-kissed surfaces to crushing depths, their mighty bodies stirring nutrients like ancient pumps drawing life from the abyss. Sea otters dance across kelp forests, wielding stones to shatter urchin shells and safeguard towering underwater cathedrals. Dolphins weave through schools of fish, their clicks a symphony of control keeping prey in check. Seals haul themselves onto rocky shores, their guano a fertilizer rain for coastal blooms. What hidden forces do these creatures wield that we scarcely comprehend? Without them, would the machine grind to a halt, gears slipping into shadow? Consider the whale pump, that colossal cycle where baleen giants filter krill by the ton then exhale plumes rich in iron and nitrogen. These nutrients ignite phytoplankton explosions, the ocean's microscopic engines churning out oxygen for the world to breathe. High above, in sunlit shallows, sea otters patrol like vigilant gardeners, culling urchin hordes that would otherwise devour kelp from root to canopy. Kelp forests rise in response, cradling fish nurseries and locking away carbon in their fibrous depths. Dolphins, with razor-sharp coordination, thin squid populations that balloon without restraint, preventing shadowy overgrowths from smothering the food web. Seals bridge deep and shore, their scat-seeding bacteria that fuel entire bays. Ever pondered how one otter's meal echoes across ecosystems? The balance teeters on these warm-blooded threads. Dive deeper into the twilight zone, where light fades and marine mammals reign as unseen conductors. Sperm whales battle giant squid in ink-choked duels, regulating populations that could otherwise swarm unchecked. Their dives mix cold deep waters with warm surface layers, oxygenating realms where fish shoals thrive. Manatees in shallow estuaries graze seagrass meadows, recycling phosphorus that sparks algal feasts for manatees and fish alike. Polar bears prowl ice edges, indirectly shaping plankton cycles through seal hunts that redistribute fats and minerals. Walruses root up clams from seafloors, aerating sediments teeming with hidden life. What mysteries unfold in these vertical migrations, unseen by human eyes? Remove these pillars, and darkness creeps upward. Now imagine the silence descending, the first tremors of collapse rippling through this engineered paradise. Plankton blooms falter without whale exhalations, their greens turning sickly yellow under nutrient starvation. Urchins rampage unchecked, kelp forests crumbling into barren barrens that echo with ghostly emptiness. Squid armadas surge, tentacles lashing at panicked fish in a frenzy of unchecked hunger. Jellyfish veils unfurl across currents, their stings a toxic haze blotting reefs once vibrant with color. Oxygen whispers away from midwaters, hypoxic voids birthing dead zones that pulse like infected wounds. Sensors aboard ships detect the shift, a chill settling over crews. Is this the ocean's warning cry, muffled by absence? Weeks pass, and the machine stutters, its rhythms fracturing into discord. Tuna fleets haul emptier nets, prey cycles booming then busting without dolphin culls to impose order. Coral polyps starve as currents stagnate, symbiotic algae fleeing unbalanced waters tinged with acid bite. Eelgrass meadows erode, nurseries silenced, releasing sediments that cloud the sea like funeral shrouds. Seabirds will over barren upwellings, their shadows lengthening on waves devoid of feast. Microbial clouds rise from seafloors, hydrogen sulfide tainting the air with rotten eggs. Divers surface pale, whispering of fish darting from phantom predators. What stirs in the gaps these mammals leave behind? Expeditions probe the fraying web, submersibles gliding through milky algal soups that choke the light. Without otter oversight, crustacean plagues scuttle over dying reefs, pinching at fragile life. Macroalgae overruns shallows, its tendrils strangling the last holdouts of diversity. Deep-sea amphipods swarm upward, drawn by decaying falls no longer buffered by whale carcasses. Bioluminescent bacteria ignite hypoxic pockets, casting eerie glows that mimic distant stars. Sonar echoes warp, hinting at vast, formless masses aggregating in the gloom. Researchers huddle over screens, voices hushed with dawning dread. Could the ocean, unmoored, birth something alien from its depths? The horror builds subtly, a creeping realization that balance was illusion held by mammalian might. Carbon sinks fail without whale migrations shuttling it poleward, greenhouse gases bubbling from stratified layers. Polar ecosystems unravel, ice cracking wider sands seal pressure, calving bergs like omens afloat. Tropical bays turn anoxic, mangroves gasping under smothering mats of decay. Fish schools fracture into chaos, easy prey for opportunistic sharks grown bold and ravenous. Faint tremors register on seismographs, not quakes but rhythmic throbs from abyssal unknowns. Humanity watches, hearts pounding, as nature's architects fade. What leviathans claim the empty thrones? Yet amid unraveling, awe flickers. What resilient forms might rise from this engineered void? Cephalods pulse with novel cunning, herding remnants in bioluminescent webs. Crustacean legions coordinate, their chitinous clicks a new chorus in the hush. Novel symbioses bloom, bacteria whispering to hosts in chemical tongues. The sea thickens with possibility, terrifying and wondrous. Waves lap shores with unfamiliar cadence, carrying sense of transformation. Will this rebalanced horror sustain or devour? The ocean, once tamed by mammals, now dreams its own dark symphony, inviting us to listen closer. As we journey beyond the ocean's sunlit surface, descending into the vast twilight zone and deeper, the silence grows profound and the world becomes a place of shadows and whispers. Here, light disappears almost entirely, and life adapts in extraordinary ways to perpetual darkness, frigid temperatures, and crushing pressures. Now, imagine what happens when the presence of marine mammals, those giants and guardians of the ocean, suddenly fades from this deep and mysterious realm. These creatures serve as vital links ferrying nutrients, and their absence sends ripples through the ecosystems, stirring changes that are subtle yet profound. With no whales diving to exhale nutrient-rich plumes or carcasses falling like life-giving rain, what replaces the intricate cycles that once balanced the deep sea's fragile communities? The abyss stirs, no longer the quiet sanctuary it once was, but a changing world where unknowns multiply. The deep sea floor, often shrouded in darkness and mystery, hosts the largest habitat on Earth, its vastness stretching from the continental shelf edge down to the trenches 5 kilometers below. Life here thrives despite scarcity. Organisms adapted to survive with minimal food, mostly relying on the slow fall of marine snow, organic particles drifting down from the productive surface waters. Without marine mammals cycling nutrients, this reign of life diminishes. The sudden stop in nutrient mixing starves the communities dwelling in sediment, starfish, brittle stars, and tube worms struggling to survive. Hydrothermal vents and cold seeps become oases of life amid the darkness, but even their fragile ecosystems feel the impact. Who will feed on the decaying remnants of surface life now? The abyss seems to wait, expectant and watchful. The absence of whale falls, a phenomenon where a whale carcass sinks to the bottom providing a decade-long feast for deep-sea scavengers, casts a significant shadow. These massive organic deposits sustain diverse communities of crabs, amphipods, and worms adapted to feast on this rich bounty. Without these periodic falls, scavenger populations thin and competition tightens, forcing species to adapt or starve. Some creatures retreat into the seafloor sediment or grow translucent, like ghostly translucent fishes and gelatinous zooplankton, their bodies engineered to survive on minimal resources while avoiding predators. What ancient survival strategies reawaken when modern giants vanish? Are these eerie adaptations echoes of a forgotten past or signs of new evolutionary dances unfolding in shadow? As the nutrient chains waver, an increasing number of strange and previously hidden creatures begin to dominate. Many deep-sea inhabitants remain unseen by human eyes because of their transparent bodies and bioluminescent signals flickering like distant stars. These lights pierce the darkness, carrying messages coded in flashes, flickers, and pulses. Communication in an unlit world. Novel predators with frilled, elongated bodies, translucent and ghost-like, glide silently through the minefield of detritus and decay. Their feeding patterns are puzzling scientists, as they consume chemical residues of dying ecosystems rather than flesh alone. Could these mysterious forms be ancient survivors waiting for their moment, or new life bred by an ocean transformed by loss? Within hydrothermal vents and cold seeps, life clings to chemosynthetic bacteria capable of thriving without sunlight, surviving in steaming, sulfur-rich, toxic waters. These vents, once blessed by steady organic input from surface life and marine mammals, face upheaval as nutrient inflows falter. Tube worms shrink, bivalves and crabs change their behaviors as food becomes scarce, increasing competition and forcing bold adaptations. Symbiotic bacterial communities shift, their chemical relationships strained by altered conditions. The harshest environments become battlegrounds for survival, an uncanny parallel to the dark mystery creeping across the broader abyss. What does it mean when life depends wholly on chemicals, separated even further from the sunlight? The deep ocean preserves its secrets with haunting resilience. With the decline of mammals stirring imbalance, deep-water currents lose some of their mixing vigor. This stagnation leads to stratified layers that lock away oxygen and trap harmful gases below. Methane begins to rise in flickering pockets, glowing from chemical fires underwater, casting an eerie greenish light through the gloom. Strange sounds caught on oceanographic sonar hint at vast, undefined movements, creatures or phenomena that defy explanation. The ocean's voice, once dominated by whale songs and clicks, replaces their disappearance with unearthly echoes that unsettle even the most experienced researchers. What do these dark signals signify? Are they the murmurs of a planet's wounded lungs or the awakening of an abyssal intelligence? This new deep-sea world operates on rules alien to us. Organic matter is scarcer, and life must wait patiently for fleeting feasts to drift from above or the rare flux of methane or chemicals to sustain it. Creatures exhibit slow metabolisms, long lifespans, and mysterious reproductive cycles that may span decades or centuries. Transparency and bioluminescence serve as shields and signals, while opportunistic scavengers evolve more voracious tactics. Diets diversify toward chemical byproducts, making the food web flexible yet precarious. The absence of mammalian giants redraws the map of ecological power, leaving open niches filled by bizarre, almost otherworldly forms that challenge our notions of life. What will define this alien ecosystem of shadows and light? In this immense, dark domain, memories of the vanished marine mammals linger like ghost melodies traveling through water. The creatures once held the ocean's balance through behaviors that touched every rung of the food chain and ecosystem. Now, as the abyssal plains and trenches evolve in their absence, they whisper a warning. Ecosystems that lose their keystone architects risk unraveling beyond recognition. The ocean's darkest depths are alive with transformation, haunted by loss and promising new life born from catastrophe. As we explore these realms, tracing the ocean's silent cries, we are reminded of the intricate dance that sustains our blue planet and the fragility that true balance demands. When the marine mammals disappear from the ocean, the natural world's grand stage begins to rewrite its script, and nowhere is this more starkly evident than in the rise of new challengers to ecological supremacy. Without the gentle giants that once held influence, entire ecosystems are thrust into sudden vacancy, creating opportunities for strange, almost alien creatures to claim the stage. Evolution doesn't pause. It races forward, gritty and relentless, shaping life forms equipped to dominate a changed seascape. Imagine enormous cephalopods, their bodies draped in shifting colors and pulsating lights, moving with a deliberate grace to herd fish like underwater shepherds. Picture giant crustaceans emerging from the depths, their armored shells knobby and lined with barnacles, scuttling toward shallow reefs in armies that hint at coordinated behavior. These are not your grandmother's ocean inhabitants. They are echoes of survival and innovation, born from the niches left bare by vanished mammals. Without the probing songs of whales, which once charted the vast ocean corridors, some species adopt new ways to navigate and communicate. Instead of sound, entire shoals of fish synchronize shimmering bioluminescent pulses that ripple through the dark water like ghostly beacons, illuminating their paths and confounding predators. This eerie light show is both a defense mechanism and a language, a mesmerizing dance born of necessity. Macrosquid species grow bolder and larger, their multiple limbs adept at herding prey, their intelligence deepening as they exploit open niches. These cephalopods hunt in packs, using an almost language-like series of gestures and light flashes to coordinate attacks. The sea transforms into a realm where light replaces sound, and the normal rules shift in whispered silence. At the coasts, the loss of seals and sea lions disrupts the age-old balance between predator and prey. Fish that once fled from the quick strikes of these agile mammals now roam more freely, leading to declines in some plant-like lifeforms such as seaweeds due to increased grazing. But as predators vacate these coastal theaters, some birds dive deeper and longer, adapting their lungs and vision to a more watery world. These seabirds develop denser bones and specialized eyes to pierce through turbid waters, turning them into unexpected new players in the underwater drama. They swoop and dart in shadowed shallows, snapping up fish with a new cunning born from adaptation. This shift sends ripples far beyond the coastlines, a reminder that the ocean's changes are never isolated. Meanwhile, in the deep sea's cold embrace, the absence of mammalian warm bodies leaves a void that alters temperature dynamics on a subtle scale. Without heat sources such as whale metabolisms cycling through the dark depths, cold-blooded leviathans rise. Slow-moving yet massive creatures adapted for freezing waters, powered by rare chemical feasts rather than muscular speed. These ancient beasts, with mottled skin and slow, purposeful gestures, move like underwater sentinels. Their camouflage blends with shadow and sediment, threatening in their silent patience. They fill the niches where mammals once stirred life, embodying endurance and patience in a chilly and unforgiving world. The rise of these new rulers does not cease with biology alone. Their presence physically alters landscapes, especially around coral reefs and kelp forests weakened by the loss of mammalian regulation. Giant crustaceans scraping and moving through these habitats create new mounds, shifting sand and rock in ways that reshape underwater terrain over decades. Coral colonies bear marks of this unseen construction, their forms twisted by pressures from below. The tides and currents react to these altered contours, creating pockets of unusual water chemistry where strange microbial mats flourish. In these microbial strongholds, biochemical cycles spin differently, releasing sulfurous clouds that flicker faintly in the pervasive darkness. What ancient processes are reawakened as the ocean floor itself becomes a creature of change? In these waters, new ecosystems develop symbiotic intricacies unknown before. Bacteria colonize the shells and appendages of dominant crustaceans, exchanging protection for nutrients in a dance of mutual survival. Bioluminescent fungi and algae coat surfaces in sparkling veils, producing light to lure prey or signal danger. Fish evolve new eyes sensitive to this soft glow, while predators learn to differentiate friend from foe in this dazzling light play. Even scavengers, once hiding in shadow, become bold, their senses heightened for detecting chemical trails and flickering signals. The ocean becomes a luminous cathedral, vast and mysterious, its architecture formed by living light and shadow. Could these new alliances be the ocean's whispered promise of resilience or a prelude to further unknown transformations? What lessons does this tell us about nature's capacity to adapt and transform in the face of loss? This brave new ocean shows resilience but is haunted by an eerie question. Do the emergent forms signal balance or a daunting future lurking just beyond sight? Each strange creature, from glowing fish to armored crustaceans, carries a story written in response to an ecological void. Their rise is both wonder and warning, a vivid demonstration of life's relentless drive, but also a reminder of what is relinquished in silence. What will humanity learn as we peer into the abyssal future, where familiar songs have ended and new voices begin? Will our curiosity suffice to understand or even protect these unfolding mysteries? In the end, the absence of marine mammals is more than a loss. It is a catalyst for ocean shapeshifting on a scale both biological and geological. The flickering bioluminescence replacing whale songs, the rise of armored leviathans, and the reshaping of seascapes all tell a story of survival, adaptation, and change. The ocean, as always, is a realm of mystery, forever reshaping itself in response to challenge. It beckons us to listen closely to the new rhythms, the strange lights, the silent movements, inviting us to witness a world evolving in the shadow of disappearance. The ocean, once a harmonious expanse stirred by the migrations of mighty marine mammals, now turns profoundly strange, its layers locking into stratified silence without their mixing prowess. Whales no longer plunge from surface to abyss, failing to pump vital nutrients upward or shuttle carbon downward to shadowy depths. This stagnation breeds a planetary shift, where warm surface waters cap colder depths like a suffocating lid, trapping gases and decay below. Methane clathrates destabilize under pressure, seeping upward in slow, insidious bubbles that ignite chemical fires flickering blue-green through the murk. Waves crashing ashore carry an unnatural hush, their cadence altered by subsurface turmoil, no longer buffered by mammalian presence. Sonar arrays aboard research vessels ping back distorted echoes, mapping shapes too vast and sloppy for familiar lifeforms. What colossal entities stir in this chemically warped realm, hidden from prying lights? The sea whispers of transformation, a horror born not of violence but quiet reconfiguration. Carbon sinks crumble without whale-fueled upwellings, phytoplankton starved of iron collapsing into vast dead zones that pulse like infected hearts across basins. These hypoxic voids expand relentlessly, birthing microbial blooms that feast on suffocated remnants, exhaling hydrogen sulfide in rotten plumes that taint coastal air. Beneath, thermoclines sharpen into barriers impenetrable, nutrients pooling in abyssal reservoirs denied to surface life. Coral skeletons, already fragile from acid bite, dissolve faster in unbuffered waters, their polyps gasping amid algal overgrowths. Fish shoals fracture into panicked remnants, darting blindly through oxygen-thin currents haunted by phantom predators. Divers surface coughing, eyes watering from unseen vapors rising offshore. Could this be the ocean's fevered dream, feverish and unforgiving? Stratification claims its toll, turning blue paradise into layered nightmare. Deep below, methane pools gather under immense pressure, their surfaces shimmering with eerie luminescence from anaerobic reactions glowing like submerged auroras. These chemical fires do not consume fuel but persist in cold isolation, illuminating translucent scavengers drawn to the unnatural light. Currents, sluggish without mammalian stirring, carry dissolved organics into hypoxic pockets where bacteria thrive in sulfurous excess. Tube worms around vents wither, their red plumes fading as chemosynthetic partners falter in imbalanced chemistry. Giant amphipods swarm the edges, their blind eyes reflecting ghostly flickers from below. Sensors detect rhythmic undulations, not waves but something pulsing in unison through the gloom. What ancient chemistry awakens when mammalian architects vanish? The abyss glows with foreboding beauty, promising revelations laced with dread. Surface phenomena betray the depth's unrest, waves breaking with unfamiliar resonance as trapped gases alter their density and speed. Beaches accumulate strange foams, iridescent slicks from microbial die-offs bubbling up through stratified cracks. Seabirds plummet into swells, disoriented by scent plumes carrying alien compounds from below. Fisheries report nets heavy with jellyfish titans, their bells pulsing through deoxygenated drifts unchecked by former predators. Coral reefs, once vibrant nurseries, bleach into skeletal labyrinths haunted by shadow movements in acidified crevices. Echolocation from dolphins' ghosts seems echoed in erratic fish behaviors, schools fleeing unseen threats. Is the ocean physically rebelling, reshaping itself in mammalian absence? Horror seeps upward, subtle yet inescapable. Expeditions descend into the stratified hellscape, submersibles creaking under pressures amplified by density gradients. ROV cameras capture methane flares erupting in slow motion, illuminating frilled horrors gliding through toxic haze. Oxygen minimum zones thicken, forcing midwater life into desperate migrations that clog intake vents. Benthic communities shift toward acid-tolerant extremophiles, mats of purple sulfur bacteria carpeting seafloors in pulsating veils. Crabs scuttle blindly over dissolving shells of kin, their exoskeletons pitting from unbuffered waters. Faint bioluminescent waves ripple across horizons, synchronized yet sourceless, mocking lost whale songs. What intelligence orchestrates these chemical symphonies in the void? Crews whisper of presences felt more than seen, the sea alive with malice. Planetary scales amplify the strangeness, polar ice thinning faster without seal-disturbed pack dynamics, accelerating melt that freshens surface layers and deepens stratification. Tropical gyres spin slower, trapping plastics and pollutants in gyres of decay that birth novel microbial soups. Global currents like the thermohaline conveyor stutter, hinting at climate feedbacks cascading from oceanic silence. Mangroves choke under anoxic incursions, their nematophores gasping amid sulfide sludge. Whales' absence denies deep carbon burial, greenhouse loops tightening in feedback horror. Instruments register infrasonic rumbles traversing basins, geometries defying bathymetric maps. Could the ocean itself groan under transformed weight? Mystery envelopes the globe, waters turning inward with secrets. Nights at sea grow oppressive, stars reflected in waters that shimmer unnaturally from subsurface glows bleeding upward. Researchers pore over data streams, voices hushed by models predicting irreversible tipping points. Larval fish fail to settle, their senses scrambled by chemical noise from stratified chaos. Apex opportunists like sharks grow gaunt, their ranges expanding into futile hunts through barren midwaters. Faint electrical fields, once masked by mammalian bioelectricity, now pulse through conductive layers, drawing electroreceptive hunters into frenzies. The air thickens with briny decay, seabird colonies abandoning cliffs for inland refuge. What eldritch signals traverse these altered conduits? Dread builds, planetary and personal, as humanity confronts oceanic alienation. This ocean-turned strange defies nostalgia, its strangeness a canvas for evolution's cruel artistry amid horror's veil. Methane lights beckon like sirens, stratification forges new realms of life and death. Waves murmur prophecies of further change, sonar secrets hinting at forms beyond comprehension. Yet awe persists. What resilient phantoms thrive in this chemical crucible? Will humanity adapt or perish in reflection of marine loss? The sea, stratified and strange, dreams in glowing pools and silent currents. Its transformation warns of fragility, inviting terrified wonder at nature's remaking. Silence no longer empty, but symphony of the unknown. Humanity, gripped by dread from the ocean's eerie transformations, launches daring expeditions into the abyssal unknown, submersibles slicing through stratified layers heavy with unspoken menace. Scientists cluster around flickering screens aboard motherships, their faces etched with resolve amid the ceaseless lap of altered waves. These voyages seek answers to the vanishing mammals, probing depths where sonar whispers of colossal, irregular forms gliding through chemical haze. Divers don suits thickened against hypoxic chills, descending into realms where light fails and pressure claws at resolve. ROVs extend mechanical eyes into glowing methane pools, capturing footage that blurs the line between science and nightmare. What truths await in this silent void, where marine mammals once bridged surface and abyss? Crews exchange hushed theories, hearts pounding with the thrill of discovery laced with primal fear. The ocean yields its secrets reluctantly, each revelation reshaping our grasp on life's fragility. First dives reveal seafloors carpeted in pulsating microbial mats, purple sulfur bacteria thriving where oxygen fled and decay reigns supreme. Tube worms, once proud sentinels at vents, retract into brittle tubes, their chemosynthetic symbionts starved by imbalanced chemistry. Crabs scuttle over dissolving kin, exoskeletons pitted like ancient ruins under acid siege. Jellyfish titans drift in armadas, their bells pulsing through deoxygenated currents, stings trailing like spectral veils. Fish remnants dart erratically, senses scrambled by chemical noise echoing lost dolphin clicks. Sensors log rhythmic pulses matching whale song frequencies, yet no sources appear on thermal scans. Could the ocean mimic its fallen giants? Or does something mimic us? Mingles with horror as cameras pan across this alien tapestry. Deeper still, expeditions unearth symbiotic horrors, bacteria hijacking crustacean nerves, compelling synchronized marches across barren plains. Giant amphipods cluster in bioluminescent frenzies, their lights scripting messages in the gloom defying code-breaking algorithms. Translucent predators, frilled and elongated, glide through detritus clouds, feeding on chemical residues with mouths that unhinge unnaturally wide. Coral skeletons, bleached and fractured, host novel fungi emitting faint electrical fields that lure prey into paralytic embrace. Divers report tactile anomalies, currents brushing like inquisitive tendrils against reinforced hulls. What collective mind emerges from microbial networks spanning basins? Recordings capture infrasonic groans traversing trenches, geometries mapping impossible migrations. Discovery dawns terrifying, death births intelligence. Surface teams analyze samples teeming with extremophiles, organisms flourishing in conditions lethal to familiar life. Pteropod shells dissolve mid-collection, their calcium carbonate crumbling like forgotten dreams in acidified vials. Oyster larvae from toad plankton nets fail metamorphosis, tiny forms twisting in futile grasps for solidity. Yet resilient seagrasses expand, photosynthesizing amid CO2 excess, their meadows cradling invasive blooms of acid-tolerant algae. Seabird guano analysis reveals dietary shifts to gelatinous horrors, chains of consequence rippling upward. Models predict tipping points where food webs invert, apex voids filled by basal swarm intelligences. Is this evolution's cruel poetry, or apocalypse scripted in genes? Expeditions return changed, minds haunted by glimpsed vastnesses. Night dives pierce bioluminescent fronts marching poleward, synchronized glows mimicking neural firings across horizons. Submersibles evade swarms of macro squid, their camouflage flickering with predatory cunning born of empty niches. Electrical anomalies spike, electrogenic bacteria forming living circuits that pulse through conductive layers. Polar expeditions chart cracking ice without seal pressure, bergs calving like planetary tears into freshened, stratified seas. Tropical ROVs navigate mangrove fringes choked by sulfide sludge, pneumatophores gasping amid anoxic incursions. Global thermohaline stutters register on buoys, hinting climate feedbacks from oceanic silence. What planetary consciousness stirs when keystone voices fall mute? Horror crystallizes. We probe not emptiness, but awakening. Crew journals fill with unease. Phantom knocks on hulls, shadows fleeing lights, waters humming with bioelectric static. Larval fish collections show olfactory failure, unable to detect kin amid chemical cacophony. Apex sharks, gaunt and ravenous, ram submersibles in futile hunts through barren midwaters. Faint chemical signals hint novel symbioses, viruses rewriting host genomes for acid endurance. Mangrove die-offs release sediments clouding shelves, birthing hypoxic nurseries for jelly horrors. Instruments capture methane flares igniting in slow-motion infernos, illuminating frilled abyssal leviathans. Could these be the ocean's new minds, distributed and dreaming? A battle's dread as humanity mirrors oceanic loss. Synthesis meetings erupt in debate. Is this rebalancing or unraveling beyond salvage? Data streams overflow with anomalies, nutrient spikes in dead zones, synchronized bacterial waves defying diffusion laws. Cold water corals fracture under dual assault of acid and warmth, their frameworks collapsing into rubble fields. Fisheries collapse as prey cycles boom-bust without regulatory culls. Ghost fleets haunting empty horizons. Yet wonder persists. Resilient polychaetes proliferate in CO2 seeps, weaving new webs from catastrophe's threads. Expeditions redefine death, not end, but metamorphosis into strangeness. What wisdom gleams in these revelations? Terrifying yet profound. Our view fractures, ocean no longer mirror but enigma. As final subsurface, the true shift dawns. Expeditions unveil not mere loss, but oceanic rebirth laced with horror's thrill. Microbial consciousnesses pulse in unified rhythms, echoing vanished songs through chemical choirs. Emergent forms defy classification, resilient phantoms thriving where mammals reigned. Stratified seas dream in glowing abysses, warning of fragility's vast canvas. Humanity stands humbled, peering into mirrors of adaptation and peril. Will we heed this transformed symphony, or drift toward our own silence? The ocean, post-mammal, whispers transformation's eternal hymn. Silence evolves into something alive, beckoning with unknown promise.